Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Streetlight Babble, where we'll be doing
A review of Pirates of the Caribbean 5 Dead Men Tell No Tales.
I forgot that was the title. Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yes, that is the title.
Yeah, and if, as some of you may remember, this was the subject of our first video when we were just turn on the camera and talk about the first thing I see online, pirates. Let's make a fucking horrible video. Anyway.
Yeah, we've learned so much in so little.
We've learned so much and so little all at once. Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Jake, what did you think? Yeah.
I had fun watching it, but I feel like it definitely could have been better, could have been worse. I mean, it definitely... I had found enjoyment watching the movie, but there are so many different ways they could have taken it and made it a better movie. Chris, would you like to ring us in with a little plot setup? We're doing a setup this time, not a synopsis.
Well, we begin with our Henry's son, Will's son, meeting his father and being like, "Father, I want to free you from your curse." And he's like, "No, and definitely don't go and meet with Jack Sparrow."
Wink.
And then he's like, "I'm gonna meet up with Jack Sparrow!" And of course, we cut to 9 years later, and he's on the search for good old Jack Sparrow. Meets some villains.
Everyone kind of meets at this one port.
Meets at one port, and
they all go off on a venture to find the Trident of Poseidon.
Because the Trident of Poseidon can break all curses. And
that have to do with the sea.
There are love interests. There's Barbosa. There's Geriatric Jack.
Or as I like to call him, Geriatric Sparrow.
Geriatric Sparrow, which should be his new name. And thus, we have the beginnings of Pirates 5. So... this movie, I would say, is pretty middle of the road as far as Pirates movies go.
Yeah.
And Johnny Depp does Johnny Depp.
Let me rephrase that. He does Johnny Depp from the last 6 years Johnny Depp, not Johnny Depp from the 10 previous years Johnny Depp.
You are correct, sir. So as geriatric old Jack, Johnny Depp does an alright job, although... put on your subtitles, because for the first half of the movie, I couldn't understand a goddamn word he said, because he was like,
"Jack, what you be talking about now, Jack? Jack, sober yourself up, Jack."
He overplayed the drunk guy, because at this point, there's been a time skip, and Jack is starting to get old. He's starting to slow down. And it's kind of interesting to see sort of a more sad, down on his luck Jack. I mean, that's kind of how he was in the first movie, but, you know, without all the skill.
Without all the skill, and about thrice the alcoholism. Which, if you can imagine, just remember how alcoholic Jack was in the first movie. His famous line, "Why is the rum always gone?"
By the way, one thing I do like, that is this movie kind of started with Jack and friends doing... some honest-to-God pirating.
Yeah.
Actually trying to steal shit. I'm like, how long has it been since you guys have tried to steal something? Jesus.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they're actually pirates.
They're pirates. I completely forgot. I thought they just did magical adventures on the ocean. So it was nice to see some honest-to-God pirating, but yeah, Jack Sparrow, he's down on his luck, so that's basically Johnny Depp's performance in a nutshell. Even more alcoholic and hard to understand old Jack.
And then we cut from probably the weakest of the main 4 characters to the strongest of the main 4 characters.
Barbosa. This movie doesn't have a main character, it has 4 main characters. And sometimes I feel like the way they divvy up plot to each of them is kind of imbalanced. But we get some Barbosa. As some of you may know, Barbosa is
our favorite
character, because I feel like when you're young, you kind of like Jack.
Yeah, he's silly, he's fun, he has antics.
He's fun, but when you get older, Barbosa just has this charm about him. And maybe it's because of Jeffrey Rush's performance.
He still has my favorite line of all the Pirates movies. It's the scene where Will Turner is about to kill himself on the Black Pearl, and Barbosa's just staring at him like, "Who the hell are you?" And he's like, Who are you?
But what was that thing that you pointed out that a reviewer said about Barbosa?
So, I don't remember which reviewer it was who said this, but they basically said Barbosa is the best off-screen pirate. Like, every time you, like, get reintroduced to him, he's been off plundering, doing stuff, stealing stuff, and he's, like, at the height of his game. And then every movie...
He always has a new plot, every movie. Every movie has a new backstory for something crazy that he did. And I was like, why don't you have a movie about that?
Yeah, just like the misadventures of Hector Barbosa.
It's like, now I'm in the British Navy. Now I'm the king of all pirates.
I came back from the dead.
I'm back from the dead, you guys. Just every time you see Barbosa, he's did something new and crazy's happened to him, and that's kind of the charm that Jack had in the beginning. But Barbosa has now, because in the beginning, Jack's like this mysterious dude with a checkered past. You don't know exactly how to trust him, but he's really smart and he does crazy things. And now that's Barbosa for me.
Exactly. And he had a lot of character development in this movie.
He had a lot of character development, but that's going to be in the spoiler territory, so we're not going to give that to you. This is a non-spoiler review, sirs and madams.
Exactly.
So, how about our two love leads? The love leads.
So, if you haven't noticed in these Pirates of the Caribbean movie, there always has to be two young people who, through misadventures, fall in love. And those are, I want to say, supposed to be protagonists, but it really, it's a main cast of four.
It's Will's son, Henry, and a woman named Karina, who is being accused of being a witch.
And I feel like of the two, she was definitely the stronger character, and there were times I was like... She's actually smart. She's doing stuff.
Yeah, they made a pretty good, intelligent woman. But, you know, they too many movies are falling into women, you know, it's like, they don't want to, the strong, intelligent women are like, we don't want to be romantics, but it's good that they give some humanity to her. She's like, I kind of like this dude. He's kind of a dope.
Yeah, she kind of realizes that she does actually like him, and romance
there's
ensues.
This long subplot of her being a witch, which everybody, like, wants to, because she's smart. They're like, oh, you're a witch, you're a witch, you're a witch, you're a witch. And everybody's...
May we burn her?
Maybe burn her. Everyone's been pointing out that they kind of overplay this, and I'm going to do it too, because they, like, at the first it's kind of funny, but then it just keeps going and going. She's a witch, she's a witch, she's a witch. Is she a witch? I don't know. Is she a witch?
There's the rule of 3 and the rule of 7. You do a joke 3 times, it's funny. You do a joke 7 times, at the 7th time it becomes funny again. They did this like 20 times.
It's like 20... They way overdid the witch thing. And, I don't know, this is kind of minor spoiler-ish, but... There is an actual witch in the movie, and
everyone's okay with her.
Are like, so the British are trying to hang Karina the whole time, and she gets away, and then an actual witch who is honest to God shows up and is like, "Hey, help us out, witch!" I was like, "What are you doing? This is a real witch. She's covered in like paint and rags, and rats are crawling all over her, and she's brewing magic, and you're just, what? Why don't you hang her? What?
But she's valuable."
Oh, she's a valuable witch, I guess. But that's like the counter to the point. You know, you're using the devil's magic. That's the whole point. Whatever.
Supporting characters, what did you think of our main antagonist, Captain Salazar?
Captain Salazar, I think he did a really good job. The actor, what was his name?
Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem. I loved him in No Country for Old Men. He was in a couple other things. I love him pretty much. He was in Skyfall, probably the best part of Skyfall.
Yeah.
He's always been a great villain. I like to see him in more roles. Sometimes he's a bit hard to understand with a mixture of the Spanish accent and the effect they put on his voice, but I like him and his crew. They're probably among the toughest of these cursed crews that we've come across. By the way, Jack, stop pissing off cursed pirate crews. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
You have...
All of them. You've pissed off every one of them.
I mean...
How are you alive?
It's wacky adventures.
It's wacky adventures, I guess. But it's pretty cool, because, you know, you swing your sword at them and you just can't hit them. Which is, that's pretty scary. Yeah. I mean, they have their weaknesses, but that's spoiler territory. What about the sets?
The sets were okay. Like the opening, well, it wasn't the opening scene, but the kind of where everyone meets each other port town that they had was very fun. It felt very reminiscent of the time.
Yeah, it was very.
I actually kind of felt. Yeah, I kind of felt like I was playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag while looking at this town. It was that like accurate to a port town at that time.
And one thing I've always liked in Pirates is the ship battles, even though they're kind of dumb because the ships are just sort of sitting and shooting at each other. When in real ship battles, they kind of
easier to
float around.
Film that.
Well, yeah, it's easier to film, but, you know, the faster ship is supposed to, you know, kind of go around and hit the bigger one from the back, and the bigger one has superior firepower, so it's kind of a balance, but it's harder to film. Although the one kind of ship battle this one has had does kind of show that off, the faster ship versus the bigger ship.
And once again, spoiler Rooney territory, so we'll talk about that more in our spoiler.
Well, it's actually in the trailer, so
well, like a little bit.
It's a little bit in the trailer, but yeah, it's kind of well done. But the plot, the sets look good. I like Salazar's ship. It has kind of a new gimmick that all the other pirate ships. Every ghost ship has to have a gimmick.
Yeah, and you liked Jack's new ship that he has.
Jack got a new ship for a tick in the beginning of the film, called the Dying Gull, and it's just this dinky little falling apart ship, and it's just.
I find it hilarious that the name of that ship is a play on word, like the Dying Gull. Obviously, it's a goal, but it sounds like the Dying Goal.
The Dying Goal, get it? Goal, like goal, get it? Well, it kind of reflects Jack's character at that state, because he's just, he's getting old, he's getting shitty, he's just can't really, do much anymore. All his schemes are kind of failing. And that kind of reflects who he is at that point, but I love it. It's just this little ship that's falling apart, and it just makes me laugh every time I saw it.
Plot-wise, this movie was a mixed bag.
This movie was a mixed bag plot-wise. Let's just say in the middle, there is this part that I literally turned to Jake and was going, "What the fuck? Who are you? Who are they? Why are you here? What's going on?"
Characters we've never met before are on screen for about 5 minutes, and then you never see them again.
Characters we've never met any time in the series become this huge part for 5 minutes, and then we never see them again. And I was like, what's going on? What
is this real life?
Is this real life? What's the plot even?
And then Barbosa comes and he takes care of shop, and it's fine.
Barbosa saves that scene when he shows up, and thusly the whole movie. But when he shows up, but Jesus Christ, what was going on?
I don't even think the writers knew what they were doing.
I need to ask them what was going through their heads when that scene happened, because it didn't relate to anything in the past or the future or the present. It just happened.
It was happening. It was like The Happening with Mark Wahlberg.
It was The Happening with Mark Wahlberg. The plants did it.
The plants did it. And lastly, the last battle was.
The last battle was a bit lackluster for me. It went too long for me because it was all in the same place. They were doing kind of a Moses deal with the trident of Poseidon, but it was all taking place in one still spot, and it was just kind of lackluster. It was.
You see, and I don't mind a long battle. I feel like you can get a lot of really good character emotion.
The best part of Pirates of the Caribbean 3, even though we disagree on the quality, I'd say the best part is that last battle. Because it's just crazy. Everything's going on. There's a lot of movement.
There's a lot at stake and whatnot.
There's a lot at stake. There's a lot of movement, and it's interesting to watch at least.
Yeah, and I would say the last battle. It's not that it was long; it just dragged. There wasn't any energy in it.
Yeah, there wasn't really much. Yeah, that's a good descriptor. It was no energy whatsoever in it, and and I think they were trying to recapture some of the glory of the third movie's last battle in a way.
Yeah.
But more on that later. So, final thoughts. What are you gonna give this movie?
I'd say like a 5 out of 10. I feel like it wasn't terrible, wasn't great. It was passable. It was a passable movie.
It was passable. It's a very middle of the road. To me, it's better than 4 and 3. Not as good as 2 and 1. So it's just right in the middle. So if you're a Pirates fan, I think you'll enjoy this. It's just right in the middle. If you're a Barbosa fan, of course you're going to watch it.
Yeah.
Everyone should be a Barbosa fan.
Everyone should be a Barbosa fan. He is the greatest.
He's the best character in those movies. Always. Ever. Forever.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our we got a little spoilery, but not too spoiler heavy. There's real spoilers that we need to talk about in our spoiler review, so stay tuned. That'll be coming out later. Bye-bye.